And so that's the issue when you slap, hey, they kind of think that this is real, but it's
Right.
just a thought
Go look at
theory.
Wikipedia's definition of conspiracy. You know, I mean,
I'm doing it right
that's why I don't freaking use Wikipedia is because Wikipedia is
now.
the
Well, regular people, I can go post Wik- Wikipedia. Like I can't. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm a discreditable source. I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of discreditable sources that know for a fact that because they have that access, why not? Why
the
not mislead people? Okay, you said Wikipedia. Here we go. Of conspiracy or conspiracy theories?
either
I
one.
see conspiracy.
Look
I
at them
got
side by
conspiracy.
side if you want,
Yeah.
because it's really interesting how they place that out there. You know what I mean? It's like, and you can see it
With
when,
political motivation. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
I
yeah.
actually donated to Wikipedia a couple of times, 13, 14 years ago.
Hmm.
And because of their protected bullshit information that got put out on some articles, there were some that I found flaws in that I fixed. They kept putting the flaws back in.
Yeah.
And once they described anything negative politically as right wing and anything good politically as left wing without any foundation or reference, oh yeah, Nazism is a right wing thing. Yeah, socialism is right wing. It's like, no, socialism is pretty much the definition of left wing. But then
Yeah.
they started changing the definitions of socialism, and
Well,
I
the
had to quit. I never gave them another dime after one in particular. It
the
was a
the
biology article.
the issue I have about like freaking them saying Nazism is right wing is it's not. It's left wing. I mean, all of it is freaking left wing. So,
Yeah.
Nazi is an acronym for freaking the Germans' work party. Okay.
National Socialist.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's say
they turn around and they say freaking
it.
Nazis were fascists. Well, how do you think fascism came along? They used to freaking manipulate monopolies. You know what I mean? Socialist programs are manipulated and monopolies were created. You know, and it's 100% freaking socialist. And everybody keeps arguing with me on that concept, and it's not hard to freaking understand. Like, Nazis don't hate freaking socialists. They
Oh,
don't.
see?
No, Nazis love socialism. Socialism is what freaking made them who they are today.
Well,
Okay.
most people don't realize about World War II, Germany and Russia hating each other. It what they and one of it was the communist and the socialist hating each other, even though it's basically the same philosophy. It was all about who their hero was. It wasn't because they disagreed. It was infighting for the most part when
Mm-hmm.
it came to the base concepts. They were having a giant infight because communism and socialism are so closely related, and it had to do with implementation and who made the decisions.
It's
Yeah, our
it's crazy.
biggest war ever was a communist infight when it gets down to it.
The the Mussolini, okay, is the one who first first came up with the whole concept of socialism and made it into what it became. And Hitler um, jumped on the social or the freaking the fascist bandwagon. But at the same time, before he became into power, he knew that he needed to go in and he needed to freaking manipulate these socialist groups. There was one that was out. I forgot the name of it. It's like the Vol or something like that, and they believed in freaking blood and soil. Okay, and they were very much into like what Greenpeace would be into today, and the Volve, because that's how the name Volvo came to being. It was because of that group, and they were big in politics back then, you know. And Hitler and the Nazis took advantage of that stuff. And there's a whole bunch of freaking socialist groups that were involved with Nazis back in those days, and they just became a part of freaking
Volvo the car.
Yeah, Volvo the car. I forgot the name of.
Can you spell? So it's spelled Volvo.
Volvo is VA.
The VO. The car is VO.
I have Volvo, but is that the same way you spell this group? I'm gonna tell. How will I search this without pulling up a card?
I believe I can find it. It's Volvo, something like that.
Volvo fascist.
The Vol, or something like that. VUAL or. But anyhow, it keeps wanting to.
It's all good. I just
I'll find it at some other time and mention it. But they did this with all these socialist groups, and then after they did that, that's when they started freaking learning how or implementing monopolies like Krupp. Have you guys ever heard of Krupp?
The rapper?
No, his name was Krupp. He was a freaking industrialist back then who had factories that built the German missiles and stuff, the bombs that they dropped, okay? And what he did was he ended up creating a monopoly with freaking Nazis to where he manufactured the weapons and everything, and the Germans used the Jews as freaking slave labor. So they would be in there building these bombs and freaking doing all the labor for them, while he was making a profit with Germany by building these weapons. And that's basically the function of fascism. Okay.
Now, I'm going to go off on a tangent here because we've been talking about World War II vehicle manufacturing, or, manufacturing during World War II in Germany.
Uh-huh.
Ford was actually had factories in Germany in World War II making vehicles for the Axis powers, while the Ford factories in the U.S. were making Ford vehicles for the Allied powers. And when we sent our, Army Air Force over to do a bombing run, they always had express orders to not bomb certain factories because they were Ford and they belonged to us.
Mm-hmm. Well,
most people have no idea about that.
You've heard about IBM, haven't you?
Oh yeah, definitely IBM. That's what the tattoos were all about.
Uh-huh. And IBM even made the freaking time clocks, and for the Jews, whenever they had to freaking clock in and clock out when they went out to do their work, they actually were the ones that gave the Germans those freaking time clocks. So every time you see a movie where freaking they're going up and they're getting their time cards before they leave the camps, they're freaking getting those time cards and clocking in and clocking out because of IBM. But nobody knows that. They don't want to hear that. Just like they don't want to hear that DuPont was going to freaking do a coup against the American government because we entered the war. The DuPont family.
Right.
So, but all that's fact. But it's a conspiracy.
I actually didn't know the DuPont one.
Yeah.
They problem with me, I graze everything, but I don't deep dive into everything.
DuPonts, they actually supported the Nazis and what they wanted, and whenever we went to war against Germany and Japan, they were actually in the process of freaking performing a coup And because it would affect our economy, because the fonts had a lot of money back then, they decided to let them off. They got away scot-free and never had to pay for their consequences, just like Krupp in
Right.
Germany. After World War II, all these people that got freaking sentenced with war crimes were killed, but they let Krupp go because he had so much money that it would affect the economy. So they let it slide. See, this is the kind of stuff they don't want you to know. Not everybody who were war criminals were actually freaking brought up on war crimes. It's just a complete fiction.
I know a lot of prominent businessmen were pro-Nazi in the beginning, Henry Ford being one of them. I'm not mistaken, wasn't Walt Disney kind of pro-Nazi?
No,
Anyway,
I never knew about that. I know that he was he was weird. That's
Yeah.
basically it. He was really weird. That's about
he
it.
was obviously anti-Nazi later because Disney did produce a lot of propaganda, anti-Nazi cartoons later, but I think early on he was pro-Hitler, and I know Henry Ford was. And there was a pretty long list of people that were, but didn't he make Times Man of the Year twice before the war?
Yeah.
And
Walt Disney?
yeah, there was like Hitler
Hitler.
mania over here in the U.S.
Hitler
before the war started.
actually made Man of the Year for Times Magazine twice. I know that. That's the crazy part. And like when it comes to eugenics, that's here in the United States. We were the leaders in eugenics. Okay. Adolf Hitler actually admired America for their eugenics programs, and when it
Didn't he write FDR or was it FDR? He wrote a fan letter at one point to one of our presidents.
Yeah, and they endorsed this stuff. The United States did. We're the ones who came up with freaking the abortion thing. But like, see, there's voluntary eugenics and then there's involuntary eugenics, and Hitler was a part of the involuntary groups, but he understood the concept of the voluntary groups, like abortion. You know what I mean? Abortion was created because of a racist white woman who freaking thought that it would be a good idea to freaking use abortion to kill off freaking uneducated black babies. But you're not going to hear that. This is Planned Parenthood, okay? This is important today, you know. But that's left wing and Hitler is right wing, you know what I mean? So they don't connect. And a lot of people don't even want to hear that. They don't want to understand that the person who freaking founded Planned Parenthood was a racist white woman who freaking thought it would be smart to freaking kill off freaking uneducated black children.